Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Witness and I'm your host Quatrina Hossain. Pakistan's politics, if anything, are always interesting, but oftentimes very confusing. For those people who don't follow the minute details of what is going on, Pakistan's politics may well come across as a complex Byzantine sort of environment where it becomes unclear who the players are and what game is being played out. Nevertheless, some things we do know for a fact, and those things are in front of us. The unseemly tussle for ministries in Sindh has been disturbing, to say the least. With the rejoining of the MQM into the coalition, the People's Party's allies, including the PMLQ and the PML Pagara group, are unhappy. What else is going on in terms of the Punjab and the PML-N for that matter? Well, the PML-N has reiterated that their street campaign and their protests are going to continue. Well, what exactly is going to happen on that front is still clouded in somewhat of a mystery because the PML-N doesn't really have any parliamentary way of dislodging the current dispensation. And what is the government going to be doing about the power crisis? They bought a little bit of time by funneling in rupees 10 billion in part of the circular debt payment, but that has just bought them a few days of reprieve, which will run out fairly soon. These are the topics we're going to explore today. Allow me to introduce my guests in the studio. My first guest, Senator Nayyar Hussain Bokhari. He's the leader of the House in the Senate and of course represents the Pakistan People's Party. My second guest today, Lieutenant General retired Qadir Baloch, a member of the National Assembly representing the Pakistan Muslim League N. And joining me from Lahore is Mr. Humayun Akhtar Khan. He is the Secretary General of the Pakistan Muslim League Like-Minded Group, which is a splinter faction of the PMLQ. Gentlemen, thank you all for joining me today. And Senator, of course, a real bottom line in all this is that the composition of the Senate is going to be changing in March. You have Senate elections coming out in March. How much of the maneuvering that we are seeing right now from your party in drawing in the MQM back into the fold again, trying to keep the PML-F in line in Sindh, how much is all this predicated on the fact that you need that support to win an absolute majority in the Senate?
Thank you, Quatrina. Well, in fact, the support which we need is in the National Assembly to maintain our majority over there. And obviously, we do not have a simple majority in the National Assembly, and we are having our coalition partners with us. And day one, when after the 2008 elections, obviously, not a single political party was there having a simple majority in the Parliament, particularly in the National Assembly. And to form a government, you need a simple majority for that, and that's why we opted for reconciliation, and we had coalition government with PML-N in those days, and then subsequently when they left us or they left the coalition, then certainly we had to go for MQM and then the other political parties also. So in fact, the elections which are to be scheduled in February, March 2012 for the Senate, 50 senators are going to retire. And apart from that,
that's half of the Senate.
Half of the
50%
Senate.
50% of the Senate as well.
And there will be 4 more. That's a minority, seats. After the 18th amendments, each province has got 1 minority seat in the Senate also. So there would be elections for 54 seats. And out of those 54 seats, 12 each for the 12 for each province, and 4 for the FATA and 2 for the federal capital. So in previous election 2009, almost except FATA, they are almost unopposed senators, and there was coordination, there was an adjustment with all political parties, and certainly there was no horse trading also, and that was a good omen for the democracy also.
What do you think is going to happen this time?
This time, certainly there are political parties, and each political party knows its strength in the provincial assembly. Every political party knows what number is required for becoming a senator. So there are 12 seats and there are 7 are the general seats.
And just to clarify for our viewers, the voting for the Senate takes place in the National Assembly and the provincial assemblies.
So as for the senators for the representing the provinces are concerned, their electoral college is the provincial assembly. As for the electoral college for the senators from Islamabad, their electoral college is the National Assembly. And for senators from the FATA, you know, their electoral college is the 12 members of the National Assembly. That is the electoral college for them, you know. They are going to elect 4 from FATA and 2 from Islamabad. From Islamabad, there would be one a general seat and the other would be a technocrat seat. Similarly,
how important are these elections for you, for your party, for your government?
Obviously, they are important, but our strength would increase, you know, in the Senate.
And that's important to your party?
Obviously, certainly every political party would be in favor of this, that they should get a majority or they should get the maximum seat in the House.
At least an unassailable majority. Now, General Qadir Baloch, of course, the PML-N, as it stands right now, doesn't really stand much of a chance in garnering that kind of support that you would need to break the People's Party's seeming coming majority in the Senate. Is that what's driving your party right now for this protest?
No. That's a wrong assumption. That's totally a wrong assumption.
Okay.
No doubts about it that the People's Party is going to get a much bigger chunk of, a much bigger number of the senators on their side after this election in 2012. If the elections are held on time, and it's their good luck if they can have it, nothing like that.
You see, the reason I focus this question to you very strongly is that there was a time in January this year when the People's Party was a minority government, yet your party did not make any move at that time to dislodge the government. And so what makes it different now? And now you're less chances of dislodging the government, so why even bother?
No. As far as January 2011 was concerned, that was not the time which was ripe. We were even then giving chance to the People's Party to mend their ways.
So now you don't want to give them a chance.
We entered an agreement with them whereby we put up 10 points to them, and we suggested to them that they must look into those 10 points so as to bring an improvement in the state of affairs in the country. And we sat with them for 45 days. And during those 45 days, quite a few of the points, we were almost close to some sort of an understanding. But somehow, unfortunately, they sabotaged that. And at the end of the day, when it finished, they finally went back on every agreement that they had agreed to.
Are you going to dissolve?
And it's only, the policy of our party is and was that we should have given them enough time to rule and prove their worth, because they had been elected for 5 years. Elections are held to elect people for 5 years, and they must be given their chance to rule.
Why are you protesting
today,
now?
Well, I will ask you this question. I'll ask this question from every Pakistani. How are the state of affairs today in the country? What's happening? Just see the prices as to where they have gone. Just see the lawlessness in the country. Just see what's happening on the energy front, the load shedding, etc., which is going on. And so many other problems which are there. What's happening on the war on, war on terror, on that front. And I'm telling you very frankly, and what's happening to the economy. What's your growth rate today? Just see it. If further time given to them probably will not be, we feel, our party feels, and if the public
if you give them further time, what do you feel will happen?
Sorry?
If you give them further time, what do you think will happen?
Well, the things might go to an extent where it may not be possible to bring them back to the desirable level, to the desirable track.
Okay, let's go.
They are getting off that, and public is not tolerating it any further. It's public who had come out on the streets. We didn't take them out. We only went to regulate the activity, and we won't like them to, take the law in their own hand and probably go for destruction and sabotage, subversion and stuff.
Let's go on over to Lahore now, where I'm joined by Humayun Akhtar Khan of the PML, like-minded group. Mr. Khan, you heard the arguments being presented over here. The obvious question, of course, always circles around the People's Party's failings when it comes to the economy, energy, war on terror, all the points that General Qadir Baloch just listed. Let's just talk about right now the energy crisis. The People's Party bought some time by paying rupees 10 billion, as I mentioned earlier. That money is going to pretty much be run out in literally 48 to 72 hours, we are told. So load shedding will probably be back with a vengeance. Do stopgap measures like this help?
No, obviously they don't help. Energy is something that you need huge infrastructure for, whether it's thermal or coal or hydel. And we don't see anything in the pipeline which is about to come online to improve the energy situation in the country. So, I mean, if there's water in the dams, it'll be the good luck of the government. But I think this crisis can be resolved. The circular debt crisis is not exactly, when they say the circular debt is 600 billion, it's money being owed to various organizations in the chain, and it can be resolved. We had this circular debt crisis in the late 90s in our government of the PML at that time. We resolved that. The IPPs should be... Look, you bring everybody on the table, and the problem right now is with PEPCO, where PEPCO is making less money and spending more, and there are a lot of improvements that can come, that can be brought about in PEPCO. Tariff and administrative measures and line losses and receivables. That is just to name a few. It's something that is doable. The capacities exist in this country right now, and it is strictly bad governance.
Say what's missing?
What's missing is good governance. What's missing is improving the institutions. What's missing is coordination between the institutions. What's missing is paying the IPPs on time. These are the things that can be improved right now.
Okay. Humayun Sahab, there's another question obviously I want to put to you, which is that the PML-N called for a protest, a dharna, which they led from the parliament to the presidency a couple of days ago, and your party, your colleagues were very much part of that protest. Mr. Salim Saifullah was there, as were other people. Are you going to continue to support the PML-N in their protest, and if so, at what level are you gentlemen talking about how much coordination you're going to have?
Well, we have believed for a long time that the Muslim Leagues should be united, and this vote bank should not split. So we are currently in negotiations with the PML-N for an alliance that will take us through the election. We believe in the unity of the Muslim League vote bank, and we're going to pursue that. Okay. We also believe that although I personally believe that the 5-year term should be completed, but I think that the current situation of the country, the economy, the energy, the unemployment, the security situation, the regional situation calls for a new mandate of the people. But it can only happen, Quatrina, an early election in this country can only take place if the PML-N and the Pakistan People's Party jointly agree to hold an early election. Otherwise, my belief is that an early election cannot take place.
Legally?
Well, we don't strive for illegal means.
Exactly. And that's the point I was trying to make. Senator, an early election can only happen if your party calls for an early election. But both your colleagues here, both veteran politicians, are telling you that you no longer have the mandate. That's what they believe. What do you think the people of Pakistan expect from your government?
Well, Quatrina, as far as the question is concerned about mandate, we do have a mandate.
You have it, but what do you think the people of Pakistan expect from you right now?
Point is this, that the people of Pakistan, they gave us a mandate for 5 years, And there are political parties, there are political ambitions also. There are two ways to dislodge a government. One is a constitutional and the other is an unconstitutional. The constitutional way is to go for a vote of no confidence, or a Prime Minister gives an advice for dissolution of the Assembly. That's the constitutional way. And there are many other ways which are extra constitutional, and we don't believe in that. We don't think that it is in the interest of the nation that time and again there should be supra-constitutional things.
Can I ask you two simple questions? Two, because you're a legal, you're a lawyer. Two other options that I see, please tell me if they are legal or illegal. If the PML-N resigns from its 90+ seats in the National Assembly, would you not be forced to call a general election?
Well,